Hello and welcome to another episode of Unboxing Women, where we explore why women in business are often called such a bitch, with a focus on the music and entertainment industry because that's where we work. My name is Rexx, and with me is my friend Maika Rose. We are both independent recording artists and singer-songwriters based in Europe. You can listen to us on our YouTube channel and your favorite podcast platform. So, Maika, today's topic is Britney Spears.
Yes. Oh my gosh, and what a topic it is. I can honestly say that when I grew up, Britney Spears was a thing, obviously, because I grew up, I was in my teens in like the noughties and the tens, right? So it just was. Britney Spears was kind of my
everywhere.
time.
She was
right?
everywhere.
Yeah, well, she was everywhere. But I can honestly say that I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes until I watched Freeing Britney, specifically to talk about it today. Because I am one of the kind of the best examples of showing that I just believed what the media was saying. I just believed, oh, she's crazy. She shaved her head. Oh my God, look at what she's done now. Oh my God, why would she do that? Oh my God, she's insane. And, oh my God, she's a drug addict and blah, 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 and all these things. And she's back in rehab. I believed all that shit.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how so important media coverage is and how so many people believe what the media says about you. Mm-hmm. And I can say, for the beginning of this podcast, if you haven't watched the documentary Freeing Britney, go fucking watch it.
Yeah, it's on Prime. It's probably on other places as well, but we watched it on Prime. Same for me. I didn't know. I kind of have the relationship I have with Britney is, dare I say, not a good one. I'm a little bit older than you, so I kind of I was a kid when she had her beginnings, like in 2000, basically, when you know she became world famous. And so I was a kid and I was watching this as a teen, and the thing is that she is everything that I wasn't, but also everything that I did not want to be.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, I think, or what they said in the movie as well, is that they tried to create this kind of her being the all-American sweetheart.
Yes. Right?
So she's like the girl everybody wants to be, but she's also relatable because she came from nothing.
Yes, exactly.
So it's kind of like this, she's the popular girl, she's super pretty, she moves with confidence, and all that kind of stuff.
It just opened my eyes to, one, why I probably didn't latch on to her back in the day, and two, that she is definitely more than she seemed to be to me before. She is when she was a girl, a little girl, she already had a massive talent. And I was actually saying out loud during the documentary, why doesn't she sing like that anymore? It seems like
people say that.
Yeah, she's kind of become lazy and does this, and then they kind of auto-tune it a bit.
It's because people tell her to sing like that because that's how she got famous.
Maybe it is, but I mean, I've seen a lot of music documentaries about producers as well, and then you have the guys who have worked with Britney Spears, and then they just say kind of, oh yeah, well, you know, she comes in and out, and she's out in the studio for 20 minutes, and she got the song, and I'm sorry, you can't nail the song in 20 minutes. There's a lot of auto-tuning and correcting going on after that if you're doing it in 20 minutes.
Unless you're Michael Jackson,
yes,
who did everything in one take.
Exactly. Well, probably not, because he was probably rehearsing it for a week at his own house or wherever.
But he did the studio thing. Apparently, he always did that in one take. But anyway,
that's something completely different. So, for me, my image of her was like, oh God, she doesn't feel like doing this, and that's also kind of the vibe that I got from the documentary, because she's saying in the documentary, there's obviously fragments from a couple of interviews, and she kind of said at one point, she's like super famous and she, you know, dancing the hell out of, she's a great dancer. I mean, it's amazing. And also, by the way, singing and dancing the whole time.
At the same time.
It's just
So
crazy.
hard.
So
Yeah.
I'm definitely not saying she's not talented. She has a massive amount of talent. But then in an interview, she's like, oh yeah, I really just want a family and I'll do this on the side. And then I'm like,
Yeah, I remember that.
I get angry and jealous at the same time because I'm like, well, then you don't deserve it. If you don't want it that bad, then you're at the top of the fucking world and you're saying, oh, I'll just do this on the side. No. You know, you can have a family, and you know you can do that and fine, but I don't be a hypocrite then and want this too, and you know you have to put in equal measure then or whatever. I mean, look at Gwen Stefani, for example, or Madonna, or even Lady Gaga. You know, everybody who wanted the fame and who wanted the success and who wanted to actually. It's not about those things either. It's about wanting to entertain and wanting to be the best bloody singer and entertainer and have the best live show ever for the people, you know, to entertain the people, and all of the other stuff that comes with it. You have to take it on. Fine. And they did it, and they did it with their whole hearts. And then when they were at the point where, okay, this, you know, I've done enough now for this, I'm taking a break and I'm going to have my family and stuff. And then they started over again after. And that's great. For her, I just feel a bit, you know, she was so torn between, I actually don't want this. I want a family.
Okay, let me just intervene here. So I completely understand what you're saying, and I think it's interesting because we've talked about this before, and there's a lot of contention in your views on Britney for just from your personal experience, because you want this so much and we want this so much, so we don't understand when people say stuff like that in an interview.
When people have it and then don't, don't
exactly.
appreciate it.
I've heard you talk about this so often. Just for the people on the podcast, like she gets so pissed off. So just right. So it's really funny to me because not funny, but it's interesting to me because I watched this documentary and I probably saw it in a very different light than you did. Because what really struck me most about this whole thing is she was super young when she started. So she had all the drive and she had all the opportunities, but she also worked her butt off for it.
She did.
So I think when she was at that point where she did that interview saying she wanted a family and maybe doing this on the side, she was still super young. She was like, oh, I've got all of this now, but I also want a family, and maybe that's more important to me right now. So I think she was just kind of confused about what she wanted because she hadn't had the chance to kind of express what she wanted for a long time because she'd worked so hard to get to where she was. So I think there's that aspect to it as well. And just moving on from that, because I don't want to dwell on that too long, I think the most scary thing about this whole thing, and I don't know if this happens to other people as much as it did to Britney in that time, because I think it was a really awful time for this, was the paparazzi.
Yes.
Just seeing the journey of her interacting with the paparazzi at the beginning, being really nice and just being like posing for pictures or just like waving and just having banter with the paparazzi. And then at some point you can just see her during the documentary getting more and more upset, getting more and more like, this is infringing on my personal space.
But it's insane.
You are infringing. It is insane.
It's insane.
When you think about how much pictures of her were worth and how much they were being slathered across everywhere, of course you would get fucking upset with paparazzi. Of course you would at some point lose your shit. And she does in that one thing where she loses her shit and she tries to like batter somebody's car. I would do the same. If you've been for years having no private moment, everywhere you went there would be people shoving cameras in your face. You can't walk anywhere because there's people in front of you asking you questions. You would lose your fucking shit.
With their lens in your
understand.
Face.
Yes, you would not understand how people cannot have the common decency to leave you the fuck alone.
Yeah.
right?
No,
You
absolutely.
need some space.
And this is the high time of paparazzi. We're not talking about privacy at this point. We're not talking about mental health. We're not talking about any kind of, harassment kind of things. It's all fair game. At one point, I mean, $1 million. That's what one picture for her of a paparazzi shot was worth. Can you imagine what you, as a camera guy, as a photographer, would just, do? You would kill people to get $1 million, would you not? And if you could get $1 million every week, would you not try? I understand that too, but then they interview this one guy, the one guy that said, "Oh yeah, but she never told us to leave her alone." And then the interviewer's like, "How about the time when she said leave me alone?" Because she did. Yeah. There's like footage of her saying, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." And so what I want to get at actually is, I shaved my hair off when I was 17. Because you have like this wild period where, you go out and you do this and there's boys and, there's all this wild stuff going on in your youth. Mm-hmm. But for us, I kind of feel that in Europe, we have that like in our late teens, but she was already 24 and married.
She was robbed
and she had a kid. Yeah, she was robbed of her of her youth, not only by, being Christian all the time and people in America still expecting everybody to get married as a virgin and to wait and stuff like that. I mean, you don't. She didn't have like
the whole Justin Timberlake thing.
Yeah, she didn't have like a party period. So what happens? No. She has a husband. She has a kid, and then she feels mature and suddenly old enough to say, "Oh, wait, I want to go out and party." That's still in her system. And I completely understand that at that point, she's like, everybody's touching me and they're doing my hair and I'm so sick of it. Let me just shave my hair off. And then there's the hairdresser saying, refusing to do it. I would just go insane and I would have done it myself as well. Yeah. So I totally get that part. I totally could relate with that part.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I didn't feel like, obviously, when we read it, when it was happening, it was like, this is weird. But when I see it in the documentary, just all the things put together, it's so super
leading
logical.
Up to it, it makes so much sense. Yeah,
it does.
And like one of the guys in the documentary was saying, it was her way of taking back control.
Yeah.
Of kind of being like, you can't touch me. I am taking this person away from you that you see as Britney Spears by shaving her hair. I am taking that personality away. I will no longer be that person for you.
Yeah. And I think it's her fuck you period.
So freeing. It must have been so freeing to just be like, I don't give a fuck. And by the way, she looked gorgeous with her hair.
She has a great head.
Oh my God.
I was saying the other day to a friend she had done a little undercut and she said, "Ooh, I'm going to have it grow back because I don't like what my head does there." Mm-hmm. But you only see that when you shave your hair, that you have like weird folds and a weird shapes.
Bumps and shapes. Yeah.
And she has a great head.
She does. Yeah. It is insane.
So yeah, I mean, and I could totally relate to, her fuck you period, like the hair, and then with the kid in the front seat, her dad had done that with her, and it's true. I
think if any other American person had done that, nobody would have given a fuck.
I don't know. It's the times. 20 years before, it's like the 80s. And you're on the lap of your dad in the car. Nobody cared then. But by now we're in the noughties and like child safety stuff, is kind of coming up. And I think at that point it's like, oh my God, no, and so it's also a sign of the times basically, because I'm also from the 80s and I was also behind the wheel in the lap, not like on the highway, but like to drive into the garage or something, it's just because it was fun and I could like touch the wheel. So it's just
when she explains it, she's like, there were paparazzi everywhere. My kid was crying.
Yeah,
I wanted to keep my kids safe
and close to her. Yeah,
and close to her because you never know what paparazzi are going to do at that point. Also, one of the most scary things that was in that documentary really was when she was being, like, all those interviews of her were so invasive, so fucking invasive, and so prejudiced as well. Like, they were blaming her before they even started the interview, right? And she had to constantly be like justifying herself and her actions, which, by the way, is fucking rude. You assume, first off, that the person you're interviewing is innocent, right? The really thing that hit me most was when she was in an interview and she was asked if she knew how to get something like, do you know how to get the paparazzi to stop? And she started crying because she doesn't know how to get rid of the paparazzi, and that's like her biggest dream at that point, to kind of get rid of that. I mean, it must be incredibly stressful.
On the other hand, what I did notice, and I actually watched a couple of things back to make sure that she only by the absolute end did she have a bodyguard. One. Mm-hmm. During that whole seriously wrong paparazzi period, she never had a bodyguard. Why? Why not? Why not have a bodyguard with you? Why is it just you, or just you and your girlfriend, or just you and there was like this one guy who kind of latched himself onto her, like kind of a manager guy, but he's not like a legit bodyguard.
No.
So he just takes her by the hand and kind of leads her through the paparazzi, but it's not what a bodyguard would really do. So I'm just wondering, if it was such a problem, why didn't anybody intervene? Even her parents, if you see this and you're very, very innocent and let's face it, immature, half girl, half woman baby is there being bullied by these people. Why doesn't anybody suggest, well, just,
I don't know why, like, any of her parents or people in her life didn't suggest it. I would say she didn't think of it.
Exactly. I mean, Lady Gaga had a bodyguard.
She was allowed. I think it wasn't like an option in her head.
Yeah, probably not. But that's, you see, I mean, that's what I would have done. If you're like harassed like that, the first thing you do is you hire a bodyguard. At least he could make a path.
She was 20-something.
Well, and that's where we're getting at.
Yeah.
Because then her dad takes over her finances and kind of her life.
And her life, medical decisions.
Yeah, because of the whole thing with going nuts on the paparazzi, with the kid in the front seat, with the shaving of the hair, and kind of everybody saying... She
probably had some mental health issues behind the scenes.
Yeah, but I can totally relate to these things being like totally normal reactions, and then they're used against her as if she's like this insane person and not able to take care of herself or like her estate and her money. Well, no, because you never taught her. The only thing you've been teaching her is that she has to be a bloody virgin before she gets married. That's the only thing she knows.
And that she still has to perform sexily and just kind of, do whatever. Although I think a lot of the performance was her thing, but still,
so she's not taught like the basics of which men in that culture, are taught, like, doing the finances. So once she got into big money, somebody should have, okay, look, this is what bank affairs are. This is what this is. This is just explanations. And I'm sure she would have been able to do it herself. But if you don't show her, teach her, have her try. The only thing
have the time. She needs the time to be able to do that.
The only thing she ever decided about her money is that totally... at the beginning, when she was like still 18 or something, she got into big money with Baby Hit Me One More Time. And she went to get $10,000 at the cash machine in $100 bills. And she started giving that away for Christmas. That's great. But at that moment, I was saying, can you imagine if that's what she's going to do with her money? Just like give it away, which is noble, but that's not financial,
I think at that point, $10,000 for her was nothing. So if you think about it,
can you understand why all of a sudden somebody else, like her father, would maybe say, "Oh my God"?
Well, yes, but at the same time, it's her fucking money.
True.
Like she can do whatever the fuck she wants with it.
And teach her about it.
Yeah. And I'm sure because she came from that background that she just wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And she should be fucking allowed to do that without any judgment.
Of course.
Like, it is insane. But yeah, so I think a lot of what happened is that her parents, or specifically her dad, who never, according to the documentary, like I'm not an expert, I'm not a Britney expert, but according to the documentary, never really held a job for a long time. He kind of had some failed business stuff, like opening a gym, which failed, and then he went into bankruptcy and stuff. So he's also not a great person to be entrusting with finances, really, because he doesn't know shit. Because otherwise he would have succeeded with some of his ventures. So he was the one to be put in. He, who had never really been a figure in his daughter's life, except in the beginning, like in the past, like all the people who were around her were saying, we never heard anything from her father. He was never a figure. The only thing we ever heard him say was, oh yeah, my daughter's going to be really rich and then she'll buy me a boat.
Yeah.
Does
he have a boat?
Like, maybe he does now. So it's just insane to me that that person was put in charge of her finances.
And also when she specifically said she didn't want him.
She didn't want him. They could have put anybody else in charge, but they put him in charge anyway. Because he's like, oh, I'm the father. I need to take care of my daughter. And I'm getting 1.5% of all of this. But, that's not why I'm doing it.
No,
because she needs it.
So, yeah.
And then when that attorney at some point went
his name
try
is
and
Wallet.
get a raise. His name is Wallet. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
He went to court to get a raise because he's saying this person who is apparently not accountable enough to do her own finances and take care of her own person is so productive that there's going to be a lot of money coming in and there's a lot of managing of the finances. So I need a raise because there's so much going on. If Britney is doing so many things,
if she's so competent, then why can't she do her own money?
Exactly. Why is she still in this fucking problem? What is this?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It is
because
fucking insane.
Then they go out and they send her out there to be successful, which she does, and it's her doing it, making the music. I mean, and singing and working with all these people.
And all the decisions with the dancers and stuff.
Yes, she does. She made all the decisions, and she makes the show what it is, and it's a huge success. And she gets a Las Vegas residency, for Christ's sake. And then and she's still not allowed to do her own finances. But wait, if you don't want to do your own finances because you don't have time, you don't know, you don't care, or you just prefer somebody who has the mind for it to do it, that's fine. And she specifically said, not my dad. And now she's countering with, we want a financial institution to be in charge of it. So a bank she chose somewhere, I don't know, maybe she has some people who she trusts there. That's great. So I'm just wondering, why is it still her father, who she clearly doesn't want in her life, just taking care of her finances and being able to do all this stuff and siphoning off money off of her success. Whether I like her or not, that has nothing to do with it. This is wrong. And I am so free Britney as well.
Yeah.
So free Britney. Really. I mean, it's just disgusting.
It's insane to me that she is still, like, in Germany, we have a very different system. We also have a system that allows the government to put somebody in place to take care of your finances if it is proven that you are mentally not viable to be doing this, because you would be kind of on the street very soon.
Proven.
Stuff like that. Yes, proven. It has to be proven. And I know this very well. It has to be proven in court. It has to be proven by 3 or so separate people who come, professional people who come and assess that person.
Yeah.
they have to be completely unconnected to the person, unbiased, yes. And then still in court, it most probably will not go through.
The thing is that there's no talk about that anywhere where they had to prove.
There's a fail-safe. Yeah, well, there was in the beginning, but they didn't kind of show it. They didn't let her attorney see that. They were just like, we have a doctor's thing that says she's not viable to be retaining her own lawyer.
From the asking side, but from her defensive side, they're not, she's not allowed to have like a professional speak for her and say, but she's not insane. It should be unbiased. So it should be people appointed by the court, not by the lawyers on one side or the lawyers on the other side. Yeah. That makes no sense at all.
Mm-hmm. And this is like, we have a fail-safe in Germany because the first sentence in our constitution is that the Würde, what is that? The honor, the kind of, the essence of your being, like you as a human, you and your personal rights, anything that infringes on, that makes you, I don't know how to describe this.
I get what you mean. Anything against your personal rights is
anything that is against morally wrong to do to a person. Like, you have a right to be sick in Germany. You have a right to be sick and be sick on your own. Right? You cannot touch that person because you have a right to be whatever you want to be. Mm-hmm. So even if a court says, all right, you need somebody to take care of your finances, and they assign somebody to you, this will constantly be rechecked. Yeah. And at the first sign that somebody says, this is no longer necessary, or even if the person who is the person who's being controlled at that point says, I don't want this person, or I don't want this to be done anymore, it will be reevaluated.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not what they're doing there. It's
not what they're doing there.
It's a very weird system. A very, very weird system. It is an imprisonment. It is. It
is an imprisonment of her as a human being and her basic rights of human justice and moral justice. And I cannot believe that in a country that says, oh, freedom is the highest value, land of the free, that they allow something like this to happen.
Yeah.
I cannot understand this at all.
No,
it is an insane injustice. Insane.
What I want to end on is the Las Vegas thing. Did you not have questions when she came out of the stairs? There was this long-awaited live stream that was going to happen after her residency in Las Vegas, her first residency. She was going to have a second residency called Domination. Mm-hmm. And she comes out of the stairs. She's all made up. She comes down them and she just continues, like, going to the parking lot and she's gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, in that moment, have you not learned to use the media to your advantage? You are Britney Spears. If you have something to say, there are hundreds of people there waiting to interview you. She could have gone to the interviewer and said, yes, I am here today to announce my second residency called Domination in Las Vegas. But you know what? Bam! I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to stop working until my father releases me or is released from this thing and he's no longer in charge. She could have used it to rally people behind her. Why not? Why does she just
I don't know. I think
not
maybe
say anything? And
I think there's two things behind it. And probably more, but from my point of view, there's two things behind it. Number one is maybe she wasn't allowed to. Maybe she was legally not allowed to speak out on it. Maybe her lawyers were saying, look, don't do this. Like, don't give any more fire to it. But also,
I wouldn't imagine
probably, but probably what I would imagine is she was burnt so badly for so long by the paparazzi They could have twisted that any sort of way they wanted to.
But this is not the paparazzi. So these are, this is a legit event that's being held with people who are on her side, who want to interview her, who are fans for magazines and stuff. It's not like for a tabloid, people behind the corner taking a picture. This is a legit thing where where there are millions of fans watching and present. I mean, these are people who are behind her. They're still behind her now. It's just, I'm just wondering why she didn't grab that opportunity to say something. I
don't know. I don't think we'll know unless she's allowed.
Unless she says something.
Yeah.
Which she.
I think she's not allowed. I think she's not allowed.
Say a lot.
I think it's insane. But also, just one more tiny thing, because I thought that was insane. Quite at the beginning of the documentary, there was a point where everybody was starting to sexualize her because of the Bill Clinton scandal with Monica, right?
Yeah, I still don't see what that has to do with her, but anyway.
It's just generally people started talking about women in a way that they hadn't in a while, apparently, according to people. Okay. So they were being like, you want the slut, but you also want the virgin and blah, blah, blah. And it goes on like that. And you kind of like, all the issues we still have today.
Yes.
And she was in an interview where, because people started talking really badly about her because she dressed sexually, or not sexually, but a little bit more free, because she dressed the way she fucking wanted to dress.
Yes, exactly. With that body, come on.
Yeah, hello. And so she was in an interview, and this woman interviewer told her that a woman in some sort of governmental form had said that if she had the chance, she would shoot Britney Spears.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because I was fucking
so
shocked. So this interviewer said this to Britney. She was like, this person said, if I had the chance, I would shoot Britney Spears because she is not a good role model for my kids anymore. And now Britney's answer to this was incredible in my eyes. She said, I'm not here to babysit her kids.
Yeah, and also why
it is not her responsibility.
This is a politician. This is a person who should be giving an example, leading by example, and she's saying, if I had the chance, I would shoot this person. Wow, that says a lot.
Yeah, it's such an American thing to say, but also B, how much hatred do you have to have towards a person to want to shoot her? How would you feel if somebody said that to you?
I would be scared.
Why? I would be fucking so scared.
Yeah.
It is insane. I would also shut down crying, being like, why does somebody want to shoot me for dressing the way I want
really
to?
Scary.
I am not sexual. I am being sexualized by the male gaze. This is what it all comes back to all the time. In this show, we keep talking about it. The only reason this was an issue is because men started sexualizing Britney Spears. Before that, she was the all American sweetheart. She was what all kids wanted to be. She was seen as a great role model. She was seen as kind of and she was still a Christian girl. She still had all those values. She was allowed to dress the way she wanted to because, she was still kind of that Christian girl in behind. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the narrative changed.
Yeah.
Because of men.
Yeah, because there was a lot of midriff going on in Baby Hit Me One More Time.
Yeah.
And there was cleavage there too. So
exactly.
And legs too.
And then
so what does that change
women
after?
became scared. I think that person who was like, I would shoot her because she's not a good role model for my kids. I think she was scared that if her kids dressed that way, men would rape them.
Yes, obviously.
And
but also,
this is what it comes down to.
Also, she's now talking about a woman who is in her early 20s. And maybe her kids are 14. That's a big difference. Yes, maybe they are fans of Britney Spears. And if you don't want them to dress like Britney Spears, then, well, that's something completely
dress
different.
Like that.
Then that's completely different. But Britney Spears can dress the fuck she wants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really weird. It's just very weird.
Yes. Watch the documentary. I can only say watch it. I am
free Britney Spears.
Yes, free Britney Spears. Honestly, it is insane, and I think we should close on that because there is nothing like. There's so much we could say, but we can't cover it all. No. Watch the documentary. Make up your own minds.
We've kind of just told everybody the documentary.
Well, yeah, but there's so many nuances in there. It's So I'm just going to say that's all for today. Thank you for tuning into our Unboxing Women. Be sure to connect with us on our socials, which you can find in the show notes. Send us a DM and let us know your personal experiences with the hashtag such a bitch. Let us know your opinions on hashtag free Britney, because come on. And don't forget to support your favourite artists through merch or donations. My name is Maika Rose. I've been chatting with Rexx. This is a weekly show, so tune back in next week, same time, same place. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you soon.